In this video, I will show some examples of how to use the definitions to solve for unknown angles. Before we move on, let's talk about some key ideas that we've learned in past videos. We learned that a complementary angle relationship is where two angles come together and they create a 90-degree corner. When we talk about supplementary angles, we are talking about two or more angles that come together to form 180 degrees or a straight line. When we're looking at a full rotation, meaning a complete circle, we are looking at an angle of 360 degrees. And also, when we are adding all the angles of a triangle together, if we add them all up, we are going to get 180 degrees. From our previous video, when we talked about parallel lines, we talked about alternate interior angles, angles on the inside of the tunnel, but opposite sides of the transversal, and these are equal angles. We also talked about exterior alternate angles on the opposite side of the transversal, which are also equal. We looked at co-interior angles, so angles on the same side of the transversal, but the inside of the tunnel, and they are supplementary, meaning they make 180 degrees. Same with co-exterior angles on the outside, but the same side of the transversal are also supplementary. And lastly, we talked about corresponding angles and vertically opposite angles. Corresponding angles is where we're comparing the top four angles with the bottom four angles. And the ones that are in the same position are going to be the same size. When we talked about vertically opposite angles, we were looking at any two lines that crisscross together, and angles that are in the opposite position, so top and bottom, are going to be the same. Side and side are also going to be the same. These are all the definitions we need to know in order to solve for our next example. In our first example, we have an unknown angle X that we are trying to find. We can see that there are three different angles here, and if I put them all together, it creates one single rotation. So if I take a look at the picture carefully, I also know that this corner here, because there's a square, is actually 90 degrees. And I am told that this angle here is 123 degrees. So that means that 90 plus 123 plus X is going to give me a full circle, which is 360 degrees. To find the missing piece, to find X, what I want to do is I want to know what part of the circle is left over. So what I'm going to do to find X is I'm going to take my full circle, I'm going to minus 123 degrees, I'm going to minus 90 degrees, and whatever is left over is going to be this part of the circle. So X is going to be 147 degrees, and that's my missing angle. In example 2, I have two lines that are crossing each other, and I'm given one of the angles, which is 72 degrees, and I'm given another angle here, and my goal is to find X. Now, if you look at this, because I have an intersection, this relationship is vertically opposite. Now, I know that vertically opposite angles are going to be equal. So that means that 72 is equal to x plus 15. So in order for me to find what x is, I need to subtract 15 to see what is left over. So 72 minus 15, whatever is left over must be x, which gives me that x is 57 degrees as my final answer. And you can always check your work. Is 72 the same as 57 plus 15? Yes, it is. In example 3, we are given two parallel lines and a transversal, and we are asked to find what is the angle A and what is the angle B. So first I'm going to look at the relationships I have between AB and the angle that I know, which is 70 degrees. If you look at 70 degrees and A, these are alternate interior angles. They are both on the inside and on opposite sides of the transversal. That means that angle A equals 70 degrees because alternate interior angles are equal. Well, then I look at the relationship between 70 degrees and the angle B, and I don't really have a special relationship for those two positions. But I do know what angle A is. I know that angle A is 70 degrees. I also can see that A and B are together on a straight line. That means they are supplementary. That means that angle A plus angle B is going to equal 180 degrees. Well, if A is 70, then to find what B is, I have to take my 180 degrees minus 70, and whatever is left over is going to be angle B, which is 110 degrees. My last example is a challenging one because I am given two parallel lines, but I am also given two different transversals. There's the blue transversal and there's the green transversal. And also, because I have two different transversals, I also have a triangle in this picture. So I'm going to need to use all of my definitions here. I want to start with my easiest angles to find. So I will zoom in for a better look. Looking at the very top, I see two angles that are next to each other. This relationship is called a supplementary relationship. That means that angle 1 plus 110 degrees is going to be equal to a straight line, which is 180 degrees, which means that angle 1 is 70 degrees. Looking for another relationship, I can see down here that angle 2 is also supplementary with 115 degrees. So when I add them together, I should get 180 degrees, which means that angle 2 is 65 degrees. Then I make an observation. In my triangle, I know angle 1, I know angle 2. I could find angle 7 by using the rule of the triangle. Angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 7 make a triangle which is 180 degrees. So I know that angle 1 is 70. I know that angle 2 is 65. I need to know what is left over to find angle 7. So I'm going to minus 70 degrees minus 65 degrees, and whatever is left over is going to be angle 7. The leftover degrees is 45 degrees. So now I know all of the inside angles of my triangle. Now I move a little bit lower. Looking at my picture, I see two lines crossing over, and I notice that angle 7 and angle 6 are vertically opposite. Vertically opposite angles are the same, so angle 7 is the same as angle 6. So that means angle 6 is also 45 degrees because we said that angle 7 was 45 degrees. Now looking at my two parallel lines, I have parallel lines and a transversal. To find angle 5, I need to know what is the relationship with angle 6. Well, they are both on the inside, so these are alternate interior angles because they're on opposite sides of that transversal. Alternate interior angles are equal, so that means angle 5 and angle 6 are the same. So that means angle 5 is also 45 degrees. Looking at the other side of my picture, I have angle 3 and angle 4 left over. Again, I have two parallel lines and a transversal. Here are my two parallel lines. This is my transversal. Because I want to know both of these angles, I want to see what kind of relationship I can find. I have 4 angles up here and 4 angles down here. I can use the corresponding relationship here in order to do and find these angles. The corresponding relationship means angles in the same position are the same size. So that means that angle 4 must be 115 degrees, and angle 3 must be the same as angle 2. Well, we said that angle 2 was 65 degrees. So using all of these different relationships and going one angle at a time, we have found all of the missing pieces. So for our final answers, we have that angle 1 is 70 degrees, angle 2 is 65, angle 3 is also 65, angle 4 is 115, angle 5 is 45 degrees, and it's the same for angle 6 and the same for angle 7. In my last example, I don't have any parallel lines. I just have 3 straight lines and a triangle that I need to use to find my missing angle x. So I begin by looking for things that I know. I know that I have a 60-degree angle and a 35-degree angle. So what I'm going to do is look for pieces that I know. Here, I have an intersection of 2 different lines. If I know that this part is 60 degrees, that means that this part must also be 60 degrees because it is vertically opposite. It is the same with the other side. I have 2 lines crossing over here. I know that this side is 35 degrees. This is vertically opposite, so this must also be 35 degrees. The next thing I notice is that I have a triangle that is not complete here. I know 2 of the angles, so to find the third angle, I need to use the rule for the triangle. 60 degrees plus 35 degrees plus this angle here, I'm going to call this y. I don't know what it is. Plus the missing angle should give me 180 degrees. So if I minus 60 and I minus 35, whatever is left over should be y. This gives me that the angle y is 85 degrees. So this corner is 85 degrees. Now that I know this corner, I can take a look at finding x. X and y are next to each other on the same line. A straight line is 180 degrees. This is supplementary angles. So that means x plus y makes a straight line which is 180 degrees. I know that y is 85 degrees. So if I minus it from 180, then the leftover is going to give me x, which means that x is 95 degrees. In all of the examples that I did in this video, we started with angles that we knew to find angles that we didn't know using our definitions. This is called angle chasing, and it can be very useful. Just remember which angles are supplementary and which angles are equal. Thanks for watching.